Multiple al-Jazeera journalists and staffers were just killed by Israel in Gaza. They were among the many who've risked everything to keep the world informed. I have been covering Israel's brutal offensive in Gaza remotely for nearly 2 years. Israel has banned international media from entering Gaza to report independently. It is because of brave and dedicated colleagues on the ground that information and news could be brought to the world. They have not stopped reporting for a single day on death and destruction of their own homes, their communities, their neighborhoods, and sometimes even their own family members. Almost all journalists in Gaza have been displaced, their homes destroyed by Israel's bombardment. And with aid slowed to a trickle by Israel, many of these journalists are also going hungry, taking a break from relentless reporting to search for food to feed their children. A piece of bread, a spoonful of rice, the things that we take for granted are nearly impossible for them to secure. But the hardest thing has been in hearing them speak about their fear of being targeted. Journalists in Gaza have stayed away from their families, fearing they may put them in harm's way. They prefer to stick together, usually in tents. More than 190 journalists and media workers have been killed covering the war in Gaza, according to the Committee to Protect Journalists. al-Sharif was one of those journalists. He never wanted to stop reporting. He felt it was his responsibility to bear witness, to convey terrible realities on the ground. Sometimes he was moved to tears on air. He himself went hungry. He also lost his father in an airstrike. In his last days, he received threats to cease reporting. The Israeli military had previously accused al-Sharif of posing as an Al Jazeera journalist and called him a Hamas cell commander. It's an allegation that he had vehemently denied, saying, quote, "Speaking the truth has become a threat." Israel said al-Sharif was targeted in this attack. The UN Special Rapporteur on Freedom of Expression also denounced the unfounded accusations by the Israeli military. al-Sharif never hid his disappointment in the world watching the horrors of war unfold, unable to intervene. His voice shook as he spoke of this. That outrage is shared by many journalists today.
I want to start with what your organization has said in response to the Israeli strike that killed these 5 members of Al Jazeera. Here's what RSF's Director General said. This massacre in Israel's media blackout strategy, designed to conceal the crimes committed by its army for more than 21 months in the besieged and starving Palestinian enclave, must be stopped immediately. The international community can no longer turn a blind eye and must react and put an end to this impunity. So, Louise, will this be a turning point moment, or will it turn out to be another blip?
It must be a turning point. It must become at least being a part of a wake-up call for the international community. Something has to change. This cannot continue to happen. We know this tactic. We know. And you're referring to the statement of our director. I think it reflects pretty good what we are feeling right now. It's we are outraged, we are furious, and we are bitter as well, because we communicated, we published, I'm thinking of last October 24, about the risk that we're waiting on al-Sharif, because he was a victim of defamation campaign by the Israeli army, and we know how it ends. We are now at 200, more than 200 journalists killed, specifically targeted by the Israeli army since the 7th of October 23. This is again I'm referring to the statements of our organization, Reporters Without Borders, because we really feel that it's part of an overall strategy of organizing an information blackout inside the Gaza Strip by killing journalists, Palestinian journalists, and by restricting or closing the access to the Gaza Strip by the international journalists that cannot, I recall, enter the Gaza Strip to report since almost 2 years now.
So I want to be clear. The IDF accused Anas al-Sharif of leading a Hamas cell in Gaza. As we said, al-Sharif had denied this, and CNN has not verified the documents that the IDF released purporting to show al-Sharif and his affiliation to Hamas. Is your group aware of any instances where there were Hamas militants masquerading as reporters?
No, we don't. We do not. And we do not have access to any solid, reliable, any sort of document or proof that could be served as proof. So we are not seeing any of it. And again, this is why I'm referring to the fact that we are considering this as a tactic to justify the killing and the targeting, systematic targeting of Palestinian journalists by the Israeli army. This is baseless accusation.
And any reporters that are currently in Gaza, they are working to be the rare eyes and ears and historians for the world right now because, as you said, Israel has banned international media from reporting freely inside the Strip. I wonder, Louise, whether you think there are ways in which this conflict might have unfolded differently over the past almost 2 years if journalists had been free to fully cover the situation on the ground with no limitations.
We think indeed at Reporters Without Borders that having independent, reliable journalists, either nationals or internationals, contribute to have to be able for the international community to make enlightened choices, enlightened decisions. How can you end up with right, justified decisions and political decisions if you are not clearly aware about what is happening? And this is the crucial role of journalism and information and reliable information. So yes, I deeply think that it could have turned up differently if at least international journalists could have entered the Gaza Strip and the Palestinian journalists being protected, because I recall that they are and they must be protected in terms of, during armed conflict, journalists are protected. There is legal framework, very clear legal framework. I'm talking about Resolution 2222, for example, that really specifically protects journalists during armed conflict. So they must be protected. This is the obligation of the Israeli government and Israeli army.